Hello everyone, in this video we are going to solve one more question related to frontend which can be asked in frontend interviews. Currently I'm in bigfrontend.dev website, which you can also check out. I'll mention its link in the description. Let's go to the practice section and we will go to the JavaScript coding questions. Let's go down and we will solve the implement basic throttle question. So in the previous video, if you remember, we implemented we solved the question similar to this, which was implement basic debounce. So both debounce and throttle are somewhat similar. So let's discuss how both of them are similar and what are the differences between them. So here one example is given. Like we have a series of function called with some arguments, and after throttling with the wait time of 3 dashes, what exactly is happening, as you can see. So from the first 3 events, as you can see, the first one directly get called, and then after 3 dashes, like this function is getting called with the parameter c, and then again after wait of 3 dashes, this function is getting called, and again like we don't have any function in this interval, so no function is getting called, and then when we reached e, our function is getting called, and then again after wait of 3 dashes, this function is getting called. Okay, so as you can see, like so initially we didn't have any function, so it directly got executed. So basically what is exactly happening over here is, like in throttle, what exactly happens is your function will be called in the intervals, like in equal intervals. Okay, so like our function will directly get executed at first point, and then it will wait for some time. So currently we have a wait of 3. So this will be the cooling time. So in the cooling time, whatever functions are getting called, they will not get called. Okay, so as soon as our cooling time is finished, so whatever function is the last called, it will be executed. So after this function is executed, again what will happen is cooling time will happen. So in the cooling time, if any function is getting executed, it will not execute. Okay, so again after cooling time, this function is getting executed, so again same thing is happening. So this we have to implement. Okay, so this is similar to debounce, which we implemented in previous video, but in debounce what exactly was happening is, like only the last function was getting called. So if let's say we are waiting 3 dashes in this case, so in debounce what will happen is only this d function will be called, so all these will be neglected. So this is the basic difference between both of them. Okay, so let's implement this. So we have some basic code over here. So we have to basically implement this throttle function. So as you can see, it is returning us a wrapper function which we are calling over here. So basically we have to implement this. So let's start it. So I'll code in a very simple manner so that you guys can understand what exactly I'm doing. So what we will do initially is we will keep one variable which will be, let's say, cooling, which will keep whether like we are waiting or not, whether like time is whether it is a cooling time or not. Okay, so initially it will be false. Okay, and we will keep one queue as well, which will be initially empty. So this queue we will use to keep the functions. Okay, so let's understand it this way. Like initially we call this function, and then our cooling time will start. So in the cooling time, if any function is getting called, what we will do is we will keep that function in a queue. Okay, so that's why we are keeping this queue. So this will return us one wrapper function which will take some arguments. So initially what we will check is whether we are in a cooling time or not. Okay, so if we are not in a cooling time, that means we can directly execute the function, correct? So initially, as you can see, we are not in the cooling time, so that's why this was getting called instantly. Okay, so what we will do, we will call the function using func.apply, and in this you can pass this and then args. Okay, so after executing the function, what we want to do is we want to start the cooling time. So you can write cooling equal to true. Now we want to make a function which will actually start the cooling time. So you can create a function which name can be create cooling equals to, and it will basically create timer, and it will be executed after a certain interval of time. So after like this cooling time is completed, what we will do is we will basically set our cooling to false, And we will also check that after cooling time has happened, if we have anything in our queue. So as you can see, within this cooling time, like a lot of functions, they got called. So the last function which got called, we have to execute it. Okay, so we will basically check if queue dot length is greater than 0. That means we had some functions execution in our cooling time. So we basically want to get that function. So you can write last function equal to queue dot pop. So this queue dot pop will actually delete the function, as well as it will return us the function in this variable. And then we can directly call this function using this line. So we are writing func dot apply this, and okay, so this is basically args. Okay, so we just want to directly call this function with the argument which we got in the last. Okay, and again we want to start our cooling time. So we will set cooling true, and we will call this function again. Okay, so this was the basic function which we created. Yeah, let's call it here as well. So this was the initial execution, like when we are not in a cooling period. But let's say we are in a cooling period, then what we want to do, we just want to put the function in our queue, the arguments. So we just simply write this. Okay, so let's just run this and see whether it is working or not. So the first got executed, and some they didn't get executed. So let's see what exactly we are missing over here. Okay, so basically I found the error. So as you can see, in the test cases which didn't get passed, we are getting the wrong output. And also this variable, like we are getting the same variable a and a in all the examples. So yeah, as you can see, I was passing the wrong arguments over here. We should have passed the last function arguments over here, and it should solve the problem. Let's submit it. And yeah, as you can see, we solved the question. So I hope you understood what I did in this example. It was very simple, and I explained it like simultaneously with the help of this example. So I hope this was helpful, and yeah, in this way you can solve this question. If interview asks you like how to implement a basic throttle function, you can give this basic example. So I hope this video was helpful, and yeah, see you in the next video. Thanks guys.